television channel in New York City. She also worked as an outreach specialist at the Urban Health Plan, a network of health centers, and she earned her BA degree in literature from Bangladesh and a BS degree in media, culture, and communications from New York University. A mother of three, she was inspired to run for office, having dealt with the inequities of the underserved community in Queens, New York. And all of that propelled her to run for office for the New York State Assembly District 37 in the recent history. And she also had some challenges that she had to overcome. Mary Jobaida, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Assalamu alaikum, and the floor is yours. How are you today?
Thank you so much. Since আমাদের এটা বাংলাদেশি platform, can I speak Bangla?
অবশ্যই বাংলায় বলবেন, অবশ্যই, যেটা আপনি comfortable.
But Bangladeshi, born and brought up in Bangladeshi rural village, I feel a great comfort to speak in Bengali, Bangla. So, বিশেষ করে আমাদের বাংলা ভাষায় কথা বললে অনেক আপন আপনও লাগে। যারা সবাই এখানে এসেছেন তারা একটি মহৎ উদ্দেশ্য নিয়ে এসেছেন, যে সবাই মিলে আমরা আমাদের বাংলাদেশি কাউকে, আমরা বাংলাদেশি আমাদের মানুষদেরকে আমরা মেইন স্ট্রিম প্ল্যাটফর্মে দেখতে চাই, এবং বাংলাদেশি লিডারশিপের আন্ডারে আমরা একটা ইনক্লুসিভ ওয়ার্ল্ড তৈরিতে প্ল্যাটফর্ম তৈরি করতে চাই। আশা করি যে এর সাথে কেউ দ্বিমত করবেন না। তো অনেক ভালো আছি, এবং আরো বেশি ভালো আছি সবাইকে দেখে। এখানে একটু হার্ট ব্রোকেন ছিলাম। আপনি যেটা শুরুতেই বলেছেন যে আমাদের বিগ পাওয়ার হাউস উইমেন পায়োনিয়ার, আমাদের অনেকের পথিকৃত যে জাজ মারা গেছেন গতকাল, এবং আমাদের দেশটাকে একটা অনিশ্চয়তার মধ্যে রেখে গেছেন, বিশেষ করে ট্রাম্প এরা। আর পাশাপাশি আমরা অনেকটা শক্তিও অর্জন করেছি এই জাজ চলে যাওয়ার মধ্যে দিয়েও। অনেক খারাপ ঘটনা, অনেক ভালো ভালো জিনিসও রেখে যায়। একটা ভালো জিনিস রেখে গেছে আমাদের জন্য, সেটা হচ্ছে যে এখন আমাদের সামনে আর কোনো অপশন নেই, আমাদেরকে জান পরাণ দিয়ে খাটতে হবে ট্রাম্পকে অপসারণ করতে। কে কোন প্রার্থীকে পছন্দ করেছি কি করিনি, এর চেয়ে বড় বিষয় হচ্ছে ট্রাম্পকে তাড়াতে হবে আমাদেরকে।
Acha, Mary, a very valuable point that you made. Thank you so much. And I'll remind everybody that BAPA is actually a non-partisan organization, and it's very important for us to make sure that we really get out the vote and make sure that we remain non-partisan. So, question for you: you ran for office, and so tell us a little bit about how the Bangladeshi community can make a difference, and how a platform like BAPA can really help propel people like yourself running for office.
বাপা বা বাংলাদেশ কমিউনিটি সবচেয়ে বড় ভূমিকা পালন করতে পারে বিভিন্ন স্তরে। প্রথম হচ্ছে গিয়ে যারা সেই ক্যান্ডিডেটের কনস্টিটিউয়েন্সির মধ্যে বাস করে, তারা ইন পার্সন ক্যাম্পেইনিং করা এবং অন দ্য গ্রাউন্ড থাকা, সেটা এক। দ্বিতীয়টা হচ্ছে অ্যাকচুয়ালি লাইক একটা ইলেকশন উইন করতে কি দরকার, সবচেয়ে যেটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট দরকার সেটা হচ্ছে ভোট, মানুষের কাছে পৌঁছানো দরকার। মানুষের কাছে পৌঁছানোর জন্য কি কি পথ আছে, সেই পথগুলিতে বাপার মেম্বারদেরকে এনগেজ করতে হবে। একটু হচ্ছে মিডিয়া, সেটা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া হতে পারে, নিউজ মিডিয়া হতে পারে, প্রিন্ট ইলেকট্রনিক মিডিয়া, যেভাবেই ধরে না কেন, এই ধরনের সমস্ত মিডিয়াগুলিতে সেই ক্যান্ডিডেট সম্পর্কে প্রচারণা করা। দ্বিতীয়টি হচ্ছে ইন পার্সন ক্যাম্পেইনিং এ ইনভলভ হওয়া, জাস্ট বুটস অন দ্য গ্রাউন্ড, যে ঘরে ঘরে যে ডোর নক করা, আপনাদের যার ব্যাগের মধ্যে ওই ক্যান্ডিডেটের কিছু পাম্প কার্ড রেখে দেওয়া, যখনই আপনারা ওই কনস্টিটিউয়েন্সির মধ্যে দিয়ে হাঁটছেন তখন যাকেই সামনে পাচ্ছেন তার কাছে সেই ক্যান্ডিডেট সম্পর্কে বার্তা পৌঁছে দেওয়া। তৃতীয়টি হতে পারে ফান্ড রাইজ করা। সবচেয়ে ওয়ান অফ দ্য খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটা জিনিস হচ্ছে গিয়ে ফান্ড রাইজ, যে এক একটা ক্যান্ডিডেট কতটুকু পাওয়ারফুল, মানুষের কাছে কতটা গ্রহণযোগ্য, তার ফান্ডিং বিবেচনা করে অনেকটা বোঝা যায়, এবং অনেকেই ফান্ডিং এর উপর ডিপেন্ড করেই সিদ্ধান্ত গ্রহণ করে কাকে তারা ভোট দিবে, কে কতটা জোরালো ক্যান্ডিডেট। তো সেই এর মধ্যে ধরেন ভোট দিতে হলে আপনার কনস্টিটিউয়েন্ট ওই এরিয়ার মধ্যে বসবাস করতে হবে, ওই ডিস্ট্রিক্টের মধ্যে। ভোটের বাইরে বাকি সব কাজই কিন্তু আপনারা করতে পারবেন যে যেখানে আছেন সেখান থেকে। যেমন কিভাবে করতে পারেন, যেমন ফোন ব্যাংকিং করতে পারেন, টেক্সট ব্যাংকিং করতে পারেন, তারপরে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ায় আপনারা সেই ক্যান্ডিডেট সম্পর্কে লিখতে পারেন। তবে একটা অনুরোধ করবো, যে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া হোক বা যে কোনো মিডিয়ায় একজন ক্যান্ডিডেট সম্পর্কে লেখার আগে সবসময় ঠান্ডা মাথায় লিখতে হবে যে কি লিখছেন, কেন লিখছেন। কারণ আপনার একটা লেখা তার পক্ষেও যেতে পারে, বিপক্ষেও যেতে পারে। যেমন আমার নির্বাচনী সময় এমন কিছু বাংলাদেশি ভাই বোনদের অনেক লেখা পড়ে আমি নিজেই ভয় পেয়ে গেছি যে আমি কি এখানে আসলে একটা ইনক্লুসিভ পলিটিক্স করতেছি, বা আমি কি একটা হোল ডিস্ট্রিক্ট যেখানে ডাইভার্স গ্রুপ অফ পিপল বাস করে তাদেরকে লিড করছি, নাকি আমি আসলে বাংলাদেশি জম এখানে এস্টাবলিশ করার চেষ্টা করছি। এমন ভাবে কোনো কিছু লেখা ঠিক হবে না যে কারণে বাংলাদেশের বাইরে অন্য যে কোনো আমাদের সমবাসী, শহরবাসী বা আমাদের যারা দেশবাসী আছেন তারা যাতে ভয় পেয়ে যায়।
ভালো কথা বলেছেন, it's really important because it takes a lot of courage to run for office. আপনি তিনটা বাচ্চার মা, আপনি you felt compelled to run, and then of course you want your community to support you. So Mary Jobaida, thank you so much for those valuable words. I might be able to come back to you, but we're very short on time. But it's such a honor to actually have you here, and congratulations on the bravery that you had shown by running for office in a city like New York, which of course is one of the biggest cities in the world. I'm now going to go to Joy Chowdhury. Is he here? Can I have a wave if he's here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, well, welcome. Thank you so much. And so before I actually ask him to speak, let me introduce him for one moment. Darshak Bridhi, Joy Chowdhury is actually in New York as well. He is a working class immigrant, a taxi driver, a Queens community organizer, a former city council community liaison, a judicial delegate, and a US Army member running to bring real working class representation to Albany. His political engagement began when he was studying at LaGuardia Community College and led over 50,000 students at the City University of New York. Among his notable efforts, he is the founder and current president of the South Asian American Voters Association, SAVA. Welcome, Joy Chowdhury. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Joy Chowdhury, where are you?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I think we need the spotlight on you. So now I have questions for you. So Joy Chowdhury, you are obviously, you're very politically engaged. And my question for you is, tell us a little bit about the purpose of lobbying and why the power of office is so important. How does a bill become law? You have gone through the process, and our audience here and the Bangladeshi community in general, we need to learn a little bit more, and you seem to be the perfect person to tell us.
Thank you. So how much you're going to pay on a bottle of water, it's decided somehow, sometime by politician, by elected officials. So everything that's part of your life, it's every expense you have, it's decided how much will be tax on it. It's decide everything around you involved with politics. Sometimes we say we hate politics, but we are in politics. There's nothing happening outside of the politics. So it's very important that we have our voice in the decision-making process. And we can start it from very grassroots level. We can start it from organization like BAPA. I am familiar with member of Bangladeshi community in New York, but through BAPA, I am now able to communicate with a lot of our honorable leaders throughout the nation. So that is one platform. Also, we can start from the community board, any government agency, community outreach work, working in the elected officials. So all these things, connect our community to the power, to the resources. And it's very important that we not only engage ourselves, teach ourselves, create awareness in our community about politics, about government, about how resources are allocated. Besides that, we have to take a lead on issues, legislation, bills in the city, state, and federal level that affect our community, our values. We can easily do that, not only being elected, also as an organization like BAPA. We can have we can discuss with electeds and write a legislation, help them write a legislation, provide them information, have them introduce it, have them influence other organization and elected from our community, and make sure that we have our voice, and getting elected is it's a big deal. Getting running for office is a big deal. As you have heard from Mary Jobaida, she ran a great race. She had a lot of support, and she's still continuing. It's not easy. So very important, very important. Not only running for office, but also engage ourselves as much as we can in every level of the government.
So you ran for office for the New York Assembly District 34. What year was that?
It's 2020. This year.
Just yeah.
2020,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And then you had a notable bill, I understand. Did you have a bill that you were championing? What bill was that?
Yeah, I am unofficially champion of this legislation because I started talking about this, and I am a gig worker. I hold taxi limousine commission license, although I don't have time to drive full time, but I do drive to respect that job besides serving in the military, because 9 taxi drivers have committed suicide in New York. I also pushed for a petition during the pandemic to adopt, there's a legislation for construction worker, so they do have unemployment insurance. So I asked state to adopt, amend that legislation and include all 1099 workers, independent contractors, self-employed. And we all work together, like Mary, Bobby, and all other candidates. They actually work so hard for working class people.
Fantastic. You know, we're
and I
running
have
out of time.
Just 10 seconds. I do have a very comprehensive legislation that can be introduced throughout the nation, and currently I'm working on introducing it in New York State Assembly. It's going to affect over 3 million people. And Senator Rahman, I spoke to him. He's going to support me in Georgia to introduce this legislation. And I need all BAP members, leaders' support to introduce this legislation, because majority gig worker who don't have health care, guarantee income, and paid leave are minorities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chowdhury. It is a very important issue, particularly in this pandemic lifestyle that we have. So thank you so much for championing that and telling us a little bit about that. So I'm going to move on to State Senator Sheikh Rahman. Is he here? Can I have a wave?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry for being late.
Well,
you know, our life sometimes it's just been very difficult. Didn't have, you know, I was doing some personal stuff, just couldn't.
Welcome. It's okay. You're here.
A couple of hours. So sorry for that.
That's wonderful. Well, welcome. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on this event, and also to speak with you in person. And before I ask you some questions, I would love for the audience to know a little bit about you. So Senator Sheikh Rahman, a Democrat, is the first immigrant to serve in the Georgia State Senate. Elected in 2018, he represents the 5th Senate District in the heart of Gwinnett, Georgia's most diverse county. He came to the US in 1981 for education and graduated with a degree in economics and global studies from Georgia State University. He is a successful businessman and entrepreneur. He became a US citizen in 1995, and Sheikh Rahman's political experience started in college, eventually running for office himself, and he lives in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Sheikh Rahman, you are absolutely a pride for our community, leading the way in such an important role. Welcome here, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we have actually very important questions for you with one of the most knowledgeable people here. So before I let you have the floor, the questions are these. The census is one of the most important issues of our lifetime. It will tell us what is going to happen in the future. And I know you have a lot to share about that. So I want you to tell us about the importance of that. I want you to tell us a little bit about the COVID-19 impact on the election. We are in one of the most historic election times while we have a pandemic going on. And so what can people do about absentee and early voting? So essentially census and election. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. as you mentioned, I represent not only the most diverse state senate district in Georgia, this is supposedly fourth most diverse state senate district in the entire country. I have people from more than 100 different countries, speak more than 100 different languages. So you can see, you cannot get, I'm just behind New York and Miami and San Francisco. And nobody thought Atlanta, I'm in suburb of Atlanta, but people come from all over, all from all 50 different states. 1/3 of the population, my constituency, weren't even born in this country. Only 1/3 were born in this country from different state. Only 1/3 were born in Georgia. So as you can see, you cannot get any more diverse than that. So I'm really honored and blessed to represent. So what I tell when I go outside, I represent the United Nations of Georgia.
Love it.
So that's who I am. So let me come back to census. What it is, one thing that really bothered me, I'm to be honest. I speak honest. I speak my mind. I don't have to have a notes, whatever it is, when I talk to my community. What it is, if you look at our community all over the state, if you go all over the country, you say, we have that many Bengali, that doesn't mean Bangladeshi. But if you look at the official number, even my own state, more than half of them is not even there. So even I know people are there, but somehow we are not counted in census. So what it is, the number is the power. You know that. If we have 500,000 Bangladeshi all over the country, we say we have 500,000. But on the paperwork, it says 200,000 or 300,000. We are not really exercising our right. We cannot show our power. So number is the power. So that's why the official number that I got from my own state, I've been talking to some of my community leader, looks like almost 1/3 of the folks haven't signed up yet. And I congratulate some of the folks in New York. I've been on the Facebook. I'm seeing you're doing a better job than some of the other states probably. Because I see Joy, I see some of the other, I see that several other, the candidates, the running, everybody's doing, census program. So I want all around the country, all the Bangladeshi, make sure you sign up. What happened is when you signed up, legally we have that many number, that's the muscle power we have. Then I can be proud as much as you are proud of me. I can go, that many Bangladeshi we have in this country, that many Bangladeshi we have in New York, in Los Angeles, Chicago. As I say, as I didn't probably mention to you, I was a super delegate for Georgia. I represented National Democrat National Committee for 4 years. So I have a connection all around the country. So I can help the candidate in different states, or we can support a candidate who can, we can make a difference winning in terms of winning number. So candidates are going to come to us. I want our candidate, people that are running for mainstream candidate to come to our community. So we can make the difference. We can have the voice, So that's why it's so important. It's so important. We should not neglect that.
Absolutely. And coming from you is even more important, because you are telling us why this is important and how it would be used when people like yourselves are making decisions, through bills and legislation. And, you may or may not have this information handy, but for the listeners here and viewers who are watching at home, how do they actually sign up?
Well, there's a number, 800 number. I don't have top of my head.
Oh, that's okay. We have somebody who can give that number.
You can call that number. There's a website. You can go log in. So this all different way. You can, I'm going to actually, I did a video last week that I'm going to put in social media coming in next week. I just did it a few days ago through my office. So
please
as
send it to
soon as
us.
I share it, I know I have a lot of people follow me or friends with me. Please share that video.
We will.
I
Wonderful.
just did the video, but this is official video, as in, my staff haven't got it together yet.
No problem. There's a lot going on.
I urge you, please, share it. And
Wonderful.
That video has all the information, the toll-free number, what you need to call,
Understood.
what you need to do, and everything else. And sometimes what happens, another thing, I just want to mention something very critical. When you sign up in census, you say Asian, there's another category, then you can actually write that, subcategory, this is Bangladeshi.
Very
That is the
good.
more important.
Good to
Sometimes
know.
I found out a lot of Bangladeshi is not counted because they put Asian, or later on inside, and you end up getting either Asian or other categories. So I want to make sure every Bangladeshi go to the Asian category and go down that line, say sub category, and that go and put that Bangladeshi, because you should be proud. We are proud. I'm proud of the Bangladeshi. Whenever I go, wherever I go, I tell everybody I'm the first Bangladeshi state senator. People look at me, people admire that. So I'm really proud Bangladeshi. I want you, all of you, be proud Bangladeshi.
We
So
are so proud. And just to recap what you said, that if people are filling out their census forms and they are noted as Bangladeshis, politicians like you are able to use those numbers to actually make bills and decisions that will help those communities. Am I correct?
Definitely.
Wonderful. So I want you to very briefly, because we're running out of time quickly, I want you to very briefly address the importance of the impact of COVID-19 on this election and what people should be mindful of about absentee ballots and early voting.
Well, you know what? All this stuff going on right now, the absentee ballot, if you do absentee ballot, please do it early. Don't wait until last time, because the way the country is going on, the way Donald Trump is going on, election night, it will take a little bit time to count all the vote. He might declare that on the election night, oh, I won the election, everything coming in next day or something like that, or takes extra day to count. He might try to invalidate all this stuff. So I urge you, if you can vote early. There's 29 or 30 some state you can vote early. In Georgia, we can vote 3 weeks in advance. A lot of
When does
time we
that
wait
start
until
then?
Georgia, like 3 weeks. We have 3 weeks and 2 weekends. So anybody can go 21 days. So they know us too. Sometimes early vote, even if you take a precaution, get your mask, whatever you need to do, you can even vote early. So you have plenty of days people don't show up. I urge you, if you have that opportunity, if you don't feel comfortable, I'd rather let you send mail-in ballot. But if you're not comfortable, you can also go and vote early. Get it done. Don't wait until the last day. Don't wait until the election day or last day of the early voting.
So, question for you then, Senator, is Georgia a mail-in state, or can you need to go in person?
Yeah, you can go personally or mail. You can request mail ballot. It is open anybody. There's no restriction. You don't have to have any reason that, oh, I can come in. Anybody, anytime, without any reason, you can apply for absentee ballot. So every
question
state,
for you on that. There's a lot of news items about mail-in ballots taking a lot of time to be delivered by USPS. Of course, that's in the news all the time about what the USPS is doing. It is September 19th today. Is there enough time for people in your state to request their absentee ballot?
still enough time. You can do it actually legally. You can even do like 3 days before the election. But thing is, because the mailing, what I suggest, you can drop your mail-in application. You can do online now. You can do online. Once you receive your ballot in Georgia, even some of the other states is the same situation right now. You do not need to mail it. There's a boxes outside the election office or different area. You can drop it. So I suggest that you, instead of mailing it, because post office might take more time, take a few extra minutes, drop in a drop box, and that will be counted.
Wonderful. Well, Senator, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to have you here. Thank you for sharing your words and making time. I know your hands are full and you're dealing with a very larger number of issues all the time. So thank you for being a trailblazer in our community. I hope you will continue to support the work we're doing to get the grassroots work done to support Bangladeshis like you who are trying to lead Mary Jobaida, Chowdhury, and many others who are here. So thank you for that. I do have to move on to ask and to follow up on. Thank you. Yes. So following on the census that you had just mentioned, Senator, we have Mr. Mahbub Reza Rahim. He is the chief of the Phoenix Processing Center for the census, chief of census. And so we are very lucky to have him here. Welcome, Mahbub Reza Bhai. Thank you for making time and joining us. How are you today? Can we hear you yet?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Warm greetings from Phoenix, Arizona. Um, Glad to be here. Such a honor to be here with leaders from all over the United States. Um, Census is very important, and State Senator Mr. Rahman already talked about it. But biggest thing I like to ponder upon, like especially foundation of democracy, is census in America. This census count determine how many congressional seats you will have in your state. Suppose this year, Illinois might lose their congressional seat and Arizona might get one more congressional seat. Because as you know, total number of congressional seats, like House of Representative in the United States, 435. So anytime people are moving from one state to another state, every 10 years, census provide the count, and that count determine how many congressional seats you will have. Last census, Houston got 2 congressional seat additional. So this is the foundation of the democracy. And the biggest thing is in Bangladeshi community, especially I'm from Bangladesh. Bangladeshi community thinks it is not important enough to fill out the form. I just want to emphasize on it. Billions of dollars of federal budget distributed to your state, to your community, depend on your count, depend on how many people in that state counted by census. And if you don't participate in that, your community will lose that money. And that means you will have fewer schools, you will have broken street, you will have unpaved street, you will have less recreation center, you will have less parks. So that is very, very important. That is, you signed up for, you fill out that form. You can go to 2020census.gov and you can respond via online, or you can call 1-844-330-2220. So by that way, you can give your address and you can provide the information. Mr. Sheikh Rahman also mentioned, and it is very important, this number is a muscle of political system. When you call your governor, okay, we have a Bangladeshi event, you can tell the guy have 100,000 Bangladeshi in America, in New York or in Arizona or that many. But governor's office look at the census number, how many people really you have from Bangladesh. If you have bigger number, there is a possibility he will show up because he wants to reach out to bigger number of people. It is just like how how much you will invest to get the return. But right now, the number is so insignificant of Bangladeshi community because when we even fill out that form, we don't mention Bangladesh. So I'm just talking about in your forms, when you go to online or you call, or if you get a form in your house, you'll say what is person's race. In that column, there are few items you can tick mark: white, black, American Indian. Then there are subcategories: Chinese, Philippine, Asian Indian. Then there is another one, other Asian. You'll tick mark in other Asian, and underneath of it, there is a box you can type in or write it down, Bangladesh. So by that way, we'll get the count Bangladesh. I work in census as the chief of Phoenix Processing Center. There are 2 processing centers in the United States. My office in Phoenix, Arizona, and another one is Indiana. So Phoenix office, we have about 950 people. They just do the data entry and online version of it. So I'm glad to be here. BAPA can work significantly to increase the awareness of this important mission. Especially our deadline is September 30th. So there is plenty of time, at least 15 days. So please go and respond the census questionnaire. It is confidential. You don't have to be legal or illegal. You don't have to be documented or undocumented. You don't need to be a citizen. Anybody can do it. And please do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mahbub, this was incredibly important information, and we're so glad that you were able to make some time and take us through the various boxes that needs to be checked. And so to recap, the website is census2020.gov.
Yes.
Right? And then,
Yes.
you know, I'm so glad you mentioned about the legal status, because obviously recently there has been a lot of news items about this, and the administration wanted to enter a question about citizenship. And what that did, it brought a lot of fear among immigrants about, you know, completing the census form. And so I'm glad you have addressed that issue already, that one can complete these forms. But just very briefly, because we're running out of time, immigrant যে ভয়টা থাকে মনে করবে যে আমার বাসায় এসে আমার দরজা খুলবে, are they supposed to be afraid for that type of fear? Tell us a little bit more so people are not afraid to fill out the census form.
Okay, not at all, not at all. Because of census, will never share your information to any other agency like ICE or immigration or CIS. So that is first thing. Second thing, your number is aggregate number, meaning in this state, what is the Asian population or what is the Bangladeshi population? It does not tell that Mr. Rahim lives in this house and he doesn't have paperwork, or his social his date of birth is this. It is not. It is a statistical aggregate, meaning 30 years to 40 years, how many people lives in this city. It is not telling you date of birth. Same way, your status is nothing to do with this. It is absolutely confidential, and census is sealed. It will never produce any kind of data to any other agency to, you know, like pursue who and what. It is an aggregate, like statistics.
Thank you, Mahbub Bhai. Well, we are so lucky that a Bangladeshi like you is the chief of U.S. Census Bureau in Phoenix, where the headquarters is. So we are very proud that you are in that position and you made some time for us. Thank you again for joining us today for that valuable information. Now, we are going to be running out of time very soon, so I have to make sure that we get some other speakers here. So do we have Dr. Rabbi Alam here? Is he joined? Can I have a wave?
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Alam, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're very busy and you're running around from event to event, so I'm glad that you were able to make some time for us. And before I ask you to speak, I want to introduce you to people before I ask you your question. So Dr. Alam's biography actually reads like a serial academic. He holds several degrees in a diverse number of areas, including holding a JD from Western Michigan University, Thomas Cooley Law School, and a BS in biology from the National University. He also holds a BA in political science, an MS in management information system, and an MA in mathematics. He moved to the US and joined the US Army in 2000. Dr. Alam served as a logistical operation and supply sergeant in the Iraq War and received an honorable discharge in 2005. He has been deeply engaged in politics for many years, especially leading the efforts of the Bangladeshi and Muslim communities. Among his various accomplishments, he served as the national chairman of the Democratic Party Asian American Caucus and as chair for its first national caucus in 2011. Dr. Alam, what an accomplishment. I could have gone on forever. And I don't think I've ever met somebody who has had a maths degree, a tech degree, a biology degree, a law degree. I mean, you've covered them all. So kudos to you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. How are you?
Thank you so much, Tamina. Orson, absolutely. It's all Bangladeshis. We are academic and we have doctors, PhD, and specialists, and we have the great citizens. We have the great Americans, law-abiding citizens, good taxpayer. And I have to give my kudos to Rahman Bhai and Mr. Mahmoud Bhai, absolutely. And just I want to make a comments about this BAPA. Yes,
So
we've
we
been
have a
trying.
total have 4 minutes for you. So
Thank you. This Bangladeshi American for political action. When I heard about this, my heart start pumping the new blood, because believe me or not, past 25 years, like when we have been going through the pipeline and trying here and there, absolutely we've been missing out. But first generation of Bangladeshi American, we tried our best. The younger generation coming out, people like Tahmina and then Redwan, and meanwhile 2018 Sheikh Rahman Bhai give us the boosting, and absolutely it is phenomenal. So I just want to commend that we need to continue this effort, and there is no and if or but. The time is now. And I
Yes.
just want to give one quick message about the census. It is 76 years that the census shield your information. Now we
Fantastic.
understand that what is NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. Then there was a Freedom of Information Act, being coming from an army veteran, a Iraq and Afghan or veteran. I understand that how this goes. I carry the top secret security clearance, but at the same time, we are not reluctant to give our information. Therefore, when we have people like this young generation, I will tell you from today, this night, take this message. Let's create a real pack. There's a pack called APAC. And Rahman Bhai knows what I'm talking about. And
Okay, well,
you are in.
Dr. Alam,
So-
we're going to run out of time before we actually get to ask your question. So you are a current candidate in Michigan for District 4, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And
yes.
you're on the ballot, right? So
Yes,
tell
I'm on
us
the ballot.
very briefly, tell us why the Bangladeshi vote matters in this election.
Absolutely. So that's what I was saying, that absolutely it is important. However, it's just not important, it is significant, substantial, and it is critical and crucial. We have to come up with a new stream of pack as you are doing this political action now. What needed to be done? It needed to be done as an issue-based organization, issue-based campaign. Just not the voting is a seasonal issue after 4 years or 2 years of Congress. So Bangladeshi American, as we left out, is still we don't see our name on the ballot or any census as Bangladeshi American. Absolutely, earlier Mr. Hamina was saying, yes, when your governor look at the census data, look at all this information. So once you go to vote, you put yourself and it gives your name. Maybe there is not your ethnicity there, but once we create that these people are there, then we can create and generate our own database and said this X number of people are voting. So absolutely, to create a phenomenal and foundation and background of the work that our community will empower for the next hardship and challenges to face. That's why
Thank
it is
you.
important, making sure that every single votes are accounted for.
Thank you so
go
much,
ahead
Dr.
and start
Alam.
calling, and make sure you are accounted for.
Thank you.
I
That's
commend you.
amazing. That's wonderful. So basically, our votes matter because we need our voices to be heard. And I think that's the summary. Dr. Alam, thank you so much for making time for us today, and good luck with your campaign and your election. And please keep us posted with everything that happens with you. So is
Thank
Moumita?
you so much. Just join my Facebook page and
Yes,
my campaign.
thank you. We will.
mdalarm.us.
We will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moumita Ahmed, is she here? Can I have a wave from her? Wonderful. Well, Moumita Ahmed, she'll be joining our screens in just a moment. And so I want to make sure that you know who she is before I ask her some questions. So Moumita, Ahmed is also in New York. She's a former candidate of the New York Assembly District 24. She's a political organizer from Queens. She has founded many organizations, including Queens Mutual Aid Network, Bangladeshi Americans for Political Progress, and New Reformers PAC. She is a co-founder of Millennials for Bernie and the former social media director of Justice Democrats. Welcome, Moumita. Are you here? If you're muted, you could probably unmute yourself. Moumita?
Hello? Yes, hi, how are you?
Hi, Moumita. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Moumita, we have questions for you and we're going to run out of time before we know it. So my question to you is, why do local elections matter and what is their impact?
Yes, absolutely. Local elections matter so much because at the end of the day, everything that people are going through, it's your local elected official who you can talk to, who you can grieve to, who you can reach out for help. And so that's why it matters, especially Congress. You know, Congress is in charge of bringing in money and budget for that particular district where you live. So, and then city council, for example, is in charge of doing constituency services that help the community members living in that district. And then state lawmakers who shape and design laws or pass laws based on the needs of that community. You know, so I think ultimately change comes from the bottom up. So we really need our communities to start engaging in local elections because they matter. You know, when it comes to employment, when it comes to how much money a district receives for schools or hospitals, that comes from local elected officials talking about budgeting and passing budgets. And so there's so many reasons why it's important. And even on a very hyper local level, when we look at like party positions, you know, we look at court nominations, we look at how to engage people in the process in terms of learning about how elections work, how public offices work. You know, what our city council members are doing versus state senators. All of that comes from local elected officials. All of that comes from, you know, how much that local elected official is invested in that community. Whether we talk about language access, আমাদের Bangladeshi community, especially আমাদের language access খুবই দরকার. That, you know, all of that is incumbent on electing someone who represents us, who understands our struggle, who has gone through our struggle and things like that. So
Very good. So I have a question for you. Follow up on that. Voter registration, and very briefly, we're going to be running out of time before we know it. To talk about voter registration a little bit and the ballots closing in the near future. Tell us a little bit about that.
Voter registration is important. I mean, voting in general is just important, especially now more than ever. We need working class people, যারা fruit stand এ কাজ করতেছে, Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven, যারা working class, low wage workers, তাদের ভোটের জন্য it's very important. And so we need you all to vote so that we can, you know, our vote is power. So if you can't contribute money, then your vote is the most powerful thing that you have in your arsenal. So, in a democracy, it's important for us to consistently vote, not only in general election, but in primaries, to elect the people who are going to listen to you, who are going to take care of you, who are going to pay attention to you. So, if you are not registered to vote, then you need to register as soon as possible because there are so many benefits to exercising that right. And it's also a right that people have sacrificed lives just to acquire. So we can't squander it. We can't take it for granted, especially immigrants. If
Very,
we as
very
immigrants,
powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful words, and I just want to echo what Nahida is saying. We're very proud of you and all the things that you've done. And 30 seconds, we know that you had an election that was actually rather challenging. Very briefly, can you tell us about that and why the Bangladeshi community matters when issues like that come up?
Yeah, absolutely. So my district has the largest Bangladeshi population in New York City. And so in my district, we didn't have a single Bangladeshi district leader, which is a very local, unpaid volunteer position. So the fact that we didn't even have representation there just showed how much work we needed to do as a community. So I decided to run for office for district leader. And I was actually kicked off of the ballot because I wanted to run with my Daknam, Moumita, and so they kicked me off of the ballot. And then, thanks to our court, our civil courts judge, who realized that in a diverse county like Queens, there's going to be all kinds of candidates running with all kinds of names. He said, Daknam or Bhalonam, Shobai Daranir Ekta, this is your right. And we as a country need to be accepting of immigrants, accepting of their culture, accepting of their names and differences. So it was a pretty historic run. And it taught me a lot about what we need to do in order to, transform our system, which is start from the bottom up.
Fantastic, fantastic. Start from the bottom up, and that's what we're trying to do at BAPA here. So, Moumita, we're very proud of you. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day on a Saturday afternoon, and I hope this is only the beginning of all of us collaborating and rising our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
দর্শকবৃন্দ, it's so nice to actually be here, and আমাদের কমিউনিটি লিডাররা যে এত গুণী আমি আসলে এত জানতাম না, so it's really wonderful যে সবার সাথে আমরা কথা বলতে পেরেছি আজকে, আর সবার গলা আমরা শুনেছি, not just seeing them on Facebook doing a like or posting something. So what is really important from today is আমাদের যে আজকে connection হলো, let's keep up these connections and make sure we support the people who are actually being brave and courageous, putting themselves out there. Running for office is not an easy thing. It's not an easy decision. It affects the entire family and everything else that they're doing. So their support that we can give to them is invaluable. And I want to say thank you to all the speakers one more time for making time on a Saturday afternoon, for being here. Whether you're running for office right now or you are a former candidate, your words are invaluable, and the education that you have given us today is also invaluable. I want to say thank you again to all the organizers, Kausar Bhai, Radhan Bhai, Shams Bhai, Piyush Bhai, Anika and Nahida Appa. I hope I haven't left anybody out. Hero Bhai. It takes a lot of effort to put these events on, and I hope that you will continue to spread the word whenever you see an event, because we are one. And if we are being the invisible force behind putting these events up, we cannot be successful without your support. So make sure that this is a collaboration that begins today, and that we can grow as a BAPA community in the weeks and months to come. And when the election comes to an end, we can say the Bangladeshi community has risen, not just in New York, not just in Georgia, but around the United States. I'm going to hand off the floor to Anika. And I want to give a big shout out to Sadia Ahmed from Dallas. She's an activist. She's joined us. Thank you for being here. And so goodbye from me. Anika, the floor is yours.
Hi, Tahmina. Thank you. Actually, I want to pass it over to Radwan, if that's okay, because I can't be in front of the camera at this very moment. I'm so sorry.
Of course. And if I missed your name, Anika is one of our leading shining lights in this time and age in the Bangladeshi community. You should absolutely get to know her. Redwan Bhai, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
All right, so thank you so very much to all the participants. So our sincere gratitude on behalf of BAPA, Bangladeshi American for Political Action, for all of you joining us on Saturday evening. I want to again thank all of our special guests, especially the Honorable State Senator Sheikh Rahman, Dr. Rabbi Alam, who is a candidate for Michigan District 4, Jobaida, the former candidate from New York, Moumita Ahmed, also a former candidate from New York, and Joy Chowdhury, former candidate from New York, and also Tabassum Munia, who ran for city council from Texas. And I also want to recognize we have a DEV chairwoman, Jobaida, if we can spotlight her as well. She is here. She is a chairwoman for Virginia Asian American Democratic Caucus. So thank you again on behalf of BAPA. I want to thank all the organizers, Kausar Bhai, the founding member of this BAPA, Kausar Bhai, Sams Bhai, Ahsan Chowdhury Bhai, Anthony Pius Gomez, Tahmina Watson, and Nahida Ali, who is a pioneer of Omen issues. Again, I want to emphasize the importance of this election. Why Bangladeshi American? Why this initiative is taken by BAPA? So we want to encourage all the Bangladeshi across the country to go out and vote. And your vote is your voice. So you must vote and vote early. Many states already has opened up their early voting process. Many other states will follow soon. So you can go in any location during the early vote and vote. You can also request your ballot by going to vote.org and request your ballot to be mailed, and you can, in your comfort zone, fill them out and mail it back free of charge. So please vote by mail, early vote, or go in person on November 3rd. But you must vote and vote up and down the ballot. Vote for every single candidate. And that leads to a census. Please complete your census. It is imperative. It is imperative that we must complete, we must be counted. And if we do not count, as the Senator Rahman said, if we don't be included in the census, if we are not counted, our representation does not show up. So when the politicians make their decision, they really need to look up they really look for census, they really look for a data, and that is important that we counted ourselves. As Sheikh Rahman says, when you're filling out as an Asian American, on the bottom of that census, fill out an additional Bangladeshi American. So an additional block of Bangladeshi borders are counted. So again, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank on behalf of Bangladeshi American in the entire continent of the US. Please go out and vote and have a wonderful rest of the evening and a weekend. And thank you again for joining us, and thank all of our speakers and participants. Thank you so very much.